Welcome back to the Fishing Doctor's Adventures. I'm out in Montana and I'm fishing for perch today. I came out, didn't set up the camera earlier because it was really cold and I wasn't sure if I was even going to catch anything. Turns out I'm onto a good perch bite. I've landed 6 already, released a couple smaller ones, caught 4 nicer ones, and hopefully I'm going to catch some more, so stick around, should be fun. Unfortunately didn't catch this one on camera, but I thought I'd show you it. This one came on a 7mm tungsten jig with some marabou skirting on the jaw jacker. This one was caught on the jaw jacker. Beautiful fish. Look at that. Another nice perch on that little circle tackle tungsten jig. Boom. I'm on him. I'm fishing pretty shallow and just using a small tungsten jig with half a mealworm. The key is watching, wiggling in it until the fish come in, and then you really got to slow down the presentation because these fish are used to eating shrimp and bugs, so they're used to sucking them in. So if you jiggle it too much, you'll scare them off. So you just gotta hold it still until you feel them. They just inhale it, and there's a slight change in weight. They won't jerk on it like some perch do when they bite. These ones just inhale it and hold on to it. So if you're looking down the hole, you probably would see them inhale it, and you could set the hook. But when you're fishing, just look at your markham. When they're down there by your hook, you really got to pay attention to that rod tip. The line seems to tighten up a little bit. That's when you set the hook. There we go. Oh, it's a little one. First little guy, I could throw that one back. There might have been another one down there. Oh. Another little guy, look at that. There's a nice perch. That one got wrapped up in my markham coming up. That's a pretty nice sized male. Just in that long, on that little tungsten jig. Look at that tail. I have never seen that before. He has like an anomaly where he has a long tail fin. I've never seen that on a perch before. That's pretty amazing. I'm just hole hopping and there isn't much swimming by right now. I saw a couple swim by, but they didn't bite, so I'm gonna keep moving, see if I can find some more perch. It's probably after 11 already. There we go. Another perch. That one's about 9-incher. We'll keep that one. Finally. There we go. There's a nice one. That's a nice big perch there. He came in and inhaled it. What a beauty. spectacular fish in here in Montana for perch. Gotta love it. Just that little tiny circle tackle tungsten, like a 3mm black and green with a little red eye on it. Tiny piece of mealworm, that's all I need. So I'm not talking very much when I'm fishing, but I thought I'd cover a few things right now since the fishing has slowed down a bit. It's the middle of the day, bright sun up high, and there's not as many fish coming around. So we'll talk about what exactly am I doing here and how can you too catch perch in a lake that is challenging, okay? I'm on a lake out in the mountains, as you can see. It's a beautiful spot. This lake is quite shallow overall, and the perch in here can get quite large. There's a good population of pike as well, and the lake is really full of small aquatic insects. Anywhere I drill, there's tons of shrimp, water boatmen, beetles coming up out of the water. So these fish actually have quite a bit of food in the lake all year long to produce these big fat perch. So they'll grow really fast, and they're used to keying in on those aquatic insects. Perch love scuds or shrimp, those freshwater shrimps. They just love eating them. So they'll just swim along the bottom, picking off those scuds. You know, other bloodworms, they love picking off chironomids, and they also eat these water boatmen and beetles. When the lake is so full of this type of aquatic insects, the perch are not really having to chase larger baits like minnows, so they aren't as aggressive. I find they just sort of cruise around and slurp up what they see. So these fish often will be quite timid or not as aggressive. Usually the way they eat too is they'll swim up to a food item and they just open their mouth like that, which creates a vacuum, and that small food item, they're used to it just swinging into their mouth, and then they close their mouth and swallow it down. So when you're using a bigger lure like a spoon or something, they'll come up to it and they'll do that, and it won't vacuum into their mouth like they're used to because it's too heavy. So you got to go small. You got to use a really tiny, like 3-4mm tungsten jig, and put on a small piece of bait and get it in their face and get ready for that vacuum, because they don't actually grab it and tug like a normal perch. They'll just swing it into their mouth by gulping it with a gulp of water, and that tungsten jig will swing into their mouth. So they'll just hold it and they'll sit there. You sometimes can't even feel when the fish actually grabs your lure. So if you're not looking down the hole, and if you're in too deep of water where you can't even see the hook, these sometimes are very hard to fish for. And what guys use these really sensitive rods, they're called snare rods, or they have, you know, these spring bobbers on them, so the rod can actually detect when the fish just swings that lure into their mouth. Otherwise, it's really hard to detect. You'll see I'm using, this is a HMG Fenwick rod, and it's a 26 medium light action. So it actually doesn't have that very light of a tip. I'm just really used to catching perch like this, and so when I'm fishing for them, I have a way of telling if there's actually a fish there or not biting, okay? So you have to be able to notice really little subtle things when you're not using one of those spring bobbers, like the line gets more tight, or the rod just doesn't move up quite as easily, and that's when you set the hook, because you don't usually actually feel a bite. So you have to be really in tune to these fish. If you're not using a camera, or you're not using a spring bobber, or you're not looking down the hole to actually see when they bite, to detect it yourself, you have to be really in tune to them. Some guys will even use bare hands and feel the line right on their fingers so that they can notice any movement. Some guys will put a bobber actually in the hole, so then if that bobber moves sideways or anything, they set the hook, because the fish won't even pull hard enough to pull the bobber down, but it'll just swing the line a bit, and the bobber will move just slightly so you can tell when they're biting. So you have to use all of these. Oh, there's a fish right there. There's a fish swimming by right there. So the other thing is, I'm fishing quite shallow, so any little, you know, crunch on the ice, movement or talking can sometimes scare them away. So it's best to just be quiet when you're fishing. Try not to shuffle your feet around. if you're sitting on a pail, it might be a lot of noise transmitting down to the fish and they will be scared off before they even come in. So try to be as quiet as possible on the ice. Don't be shuffling your feet much, just stand in one spot, stay still, and when they come in, for sure don't move. Now these fish, when you're fishing in really shallow water, like I'm only in 3 feet of water, and usually in Markham, you don't have a very big window where you can actually see the hook. Maybe the bottom foot, in between the bottom and a foot up, you'll see it, but that's exactly where these fish cruise, like 6 inches off the bottom. So what I'm doing is, I put the hook right down to the top of that cone where I can actually see the hook. And I'll jiggle it quite a bit, keep it moving quite a bit, and then I'll do smaller movements. And I wait until I actually see a fish. When you're in this shallow and that fish shows up on the screen, it means he's right up in the hook. So I just basically stop the movement altogether. I just put a big pause on it and I just don't move it at all. And if anything, I just slightly lift or slight move it at all, just so you can feel when they take it, and then set the hook. So they don't like a lot of movement, these guys, because they're used to just, you know, bugs and grubs, not moving a whole lot. So they like just slurping them up when they're not going crazy. So just hold it still, and that way you'll be able to feel when they bite, okay? So that's my tips for catching really finicky perch, and I hope you like this little video of me catching some today. Hopefully we can still catch a big one. There are some huge ones in here, and the biggest one I caught was actually on a jaw jacker earlier, and I didn't catch that on camera, but that was pretty crazy because I ran over and I pulled it out, and we're in such shallow water that perch came up to the hole, but the hole is frozen, and I saw how big it was. I got excited, so I tried to just pull the perch through the ice, but it had frozen thick enough. It stopped my line. The perch was there in the hole, and I went down and I grabbed the perch right out of the water, and look, this is my frozen glove that I grabbed that perch with. that was some dedication, but it was fun, and I actually got the perch. You don't always get them because sometimes they can turn around really fast in an 8-inch hole. Okay, let's get back to fishing. I'll shut up so I can actually not scare these fish off anymore. One came in when I was talking, but he just took off. Probably heard me chatting. Just had my camera off. Just got that beauty and got another little one and got to release that one. Okay, just hopping around now because not as many fish swimming by. I had a few come through in that last hole. Caught a couple. Had a few other coming by, so need to just keep moving. Oh, I forgot to put my camera on. This one came through and grabbed it. Look at that. Look here. Look at Coda. Look at Coda. Coda's here. Yeah. You like that perchy? Yeah. Here.
You decided not to go to Flathead?
Yeah. You know why?
Why?
I wanted to try this way.
Any options?
Plus,
Look at Coda.
like I figured, I thought I wasn't gonna have much time.
Yeah.
I thought I was only gonna be going for, and I'm like, you know how long it takes there to get out there and walk all the way across?
Yeah, it's a long walk.
I'm like, I'll waste half an hour just walking across. Did he just come in and inhale it?
Oh, I saw him come in.
Whoa, that's a baby.
Look at that. Future hump.
Future stocks right there.
Oh, yeah.
He's already got the right genetics.
Yeah.
Things are breaking the hole. Yeah, I got a little one. Look at that vibration on that one. Oh, he's back. Oh, I got him. Oh, that's a nice one. not huge, but he's like a 9-incher. You want to see him? I'm gonna toss that one back. Let him get bigger. Seems like the smaller ones are around now. He's back. Oh, there I got him. Oh, it's a jackerel. Yeah. Look at that little pike. What is like? I want that. That looks like a. That's a stick fish. Little pike. Well, thanks for watching today. Caught a nice bunch of perch here. Hope you enjoyed that little video on how to catch jumbo perch in these tough bug-fed lakes. Hey, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and share with a friend. See you later.